Do you think like e-commerce it's becoming a thing in Belgium, like becoming a more like young, because young people like e-commerce, so it will be more people who buy online in the future, and in that way it may hurt the retail industry in Belgium.
I don't know. Frankly speaking, I don't know, because I'm not a specialist of the retail industry. So I'm really not a retail industry specialist. And I think that through e-commerce, you can reach and buy products that maybe you cannot find in shops, in normal shops. Mm-hmm. I think also that e-commerce is also a challenge for normal retailers, for regular retailers, that will have maybe to reconsider their business model and to offer something else in their shops. Mm-hmm. You know China, you know the place like Tmall, for instance, where there are also now commercial malls when you can see, but the function of the shop is changing. So the shop is not always the place where you buy. It can be also the place where you choose. It can be the place where you try. It can be also the place where you have an exchange with the product. Mm-hmm. So I think also the function of the shops, of the normal shops, mm-hmm. will change in the future. That's also, but I'm aware that it's a challenge also for the retailers to be able to change their business model and to change their approach, mm-hmm. instead of only making mass sales and margin of the mass sales. Mm-hmm. But it gives also access to other kind of products. So how will it evolve? Really, I don't know, because I think there is also a difference of culture in Europe where people still like mm-hmm. to be able to touch the products and to be able to speak to somebody who can advise them on the products. Mm-hmm. So I think the change will not be as quick as it has been in China in the last year.
Yeah,
so I do not think so. But also the commercial structure in China is different. Mm-hmm. You don't have the same kind of shops. You don't have the same kind of malls. It's different. Yeah. You cannot compare.
Yeah, because in China, some people they never shop in a real store now. They buy everything online.
I know. I have a colleague from the Walloon Export Agency, and she told me that 70% of the purchase she did them online. Okay, but I think that this will never happen in that extent mm-hmm. In Europe. I don't think so. But what I think mm-hmm. is that e-commerce will change the logistics, the way logistics is organized here in the region. It will definitely change something.
Okay. Do you know how many like party members are you in your association, mm-hmm. like the Chinese company?
No.
Oh, our Chinese company, you mean?
Yeah.
I think so far. I think it's very few. I think it's 3 to 4, but not more than that. Mm-hmm. So it's, as I told you previously, we are really now in a beginning process mm-hmm. of having this Chinese company. The first Chinese logistics companies mm-hmm. which settled activities here, it was 2 years ago. Mm-hmm. So it's really a new activity for Wallonia. Maybe there were activities active also in seaports. You know that, for instance, Costco mm-hmm. has taken over a container terminal in the port of Zeebrugge. So I'm speaking about Wallonia. Mm-hmm. So the first Chinese company which has really established here, mm-hmm. it's 2 years ago. Okay. So we are really now at the very beginning of this phenomenon.
The first Chinese company named OCBDC.
EC Hub. So the first company which was created mm-hmm. is called EC Hub, and this company is linked with a company which is called Shein, and this company is from Guangzhou. And then the founder of this company was a guy working for EC Hub, and afterwards he sold the EC Hub and created another company which is called ECDC Logistics.
Okay.
ECDC Logistics. So these companies were linked, but are not linked anymore.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And these companies, they have around, I think, a little bit less than 100 people, and here they have, I think, between 35 and 40 people.
Yeah. Could we take a picture now?
Sorry?
Take a picture.
Oh, sure.
Okay.
Okay.
把这个它写。
你用你的照吧，这个问题。
Okay, just take a picture. with you in front of the table. Right, it's very interesting as for us to know of the information. Yeah, of course. Because I have heard of this company before.
Yeah, I've heard of course.
Yeah.
That's no wonder. Right?
Yeah.
So and these companies now are now really in a booming business also, and they are also offering services for the goods which are sold in Europe, but which are returned to the company. So and these goods are not returned to China anymore. They stay here in Liège. So for instance, a company. You are located here in Belgium, you are ordering something on Shein, you don't like it, and instead of sending it back to China, you're sending it back to Liège, it stays in Liège, but the company, maybe somebody in France will be interested by the same products, so it's come from Liège and from Liège to France. So it doesn't need to go back to China.
Very good services, I think, for the European people. Yeah, of course. So, in your opinion, this is a very good example. It just did a very big success.
Yes, and also it has also an impact on the local company. So there is another company which is located here on the airport, and this company does the custom clearance, because one of the main challenges also for Chinese companies is to understand the customs and the VAT regulation, which is quite complex in Europe. Huh?
Yes.
And so there is a company here which is a custom clearance company. And at the beginning of this year, they were with 9 people. And I told to the manager, we were in China together in October. And I said, by the end of the year, I will be with 19 people. So in 1 year, he has doubled his activity because of the business and the e-commerce business with China. So before the arrival of Alibaba, there is already an impact of the activities with Chinese companies. And I don't know if you saw the article, if you have the newspaper L'Echo, there was an article about the impact of the Chinese companies in L'Echo last Saturday.
Last Saturday, yeah?
Yes.
Okay. So there is an article who talked about this.
Yeah.
What did they say about this thing? Because I haven't.
But they say that this has already impact on local companies. So that because ECDC, one of the shareholders is Chinese, but I would say we can consider it also as a local company because it's run by local people here. But it has. So this activity has already an impact of the local companies, and it will have also an impact. And of course, the arrival of Alibaba will have also an impact on even of the organization of the airport, because we are speaking about a huge investment, which will generate other kind of problems, such as accessibility problems, such as mobility problems. So, and these problems also have to be solved.
I see. But what are the reactions from local companies?
I think that when you speak with the business people, you have two kind of reactions. I would say on one side, the business community is extremely happy about this development. You should understand that Wallonia still has an unemployment problem. The unemployment rate of Wallonia remains above the national average.
Yeah.
So creating new activities where people will have a job is really important, and especially low qualified people. The unemployment rate of younger people here in the region of Liège is above 20%, which is enormous.
That's quite high. Yeah.
So for these young people and for less educated people, Alibaba is an excellent opportunity to be able for them to find a job. So so in general, the business community is extremely happy because it's a new activity, it's a new business. So it does not take the market share of another company. It doesn't split the cake between a new actor. It makes the cake bigger. Yeah. So that's good for the company. Now there are some criticism from environmental associations, from some political parties. They say that should we handle with China? Should we rely should we base the development of our companies on relation with China? I do not have any political consideration on that. So I will not do any political comment on that.
Okay.
What I think, my personal opinion, as I told you before, is that even if we want it or not, Chinese companies want to tackle the European market.
If it's not Belgium, maybe in Netherlands, in Germany. Yeah.
So, frankly speaking, I prefer to have them in Belgium, and I prefer to have them and create an activity here that will give the opportunity to people to have a job.
Yeah. That's
Wallonia is really the center of Europe, I think. Like near Germany, near
Yes, but
France, and a very good location.
we always say in logistics there are three things which are important. It's location, location, and location.
Yes.
So that's really that's important, but it's true. And not only the location, but also the logistic facilities that we have here. For instance, this airport here. I don't know if you have been to the airport here. If you have
just now.
So
first time.
it's the first time.
Here, yes.
It's the first time. So you should know that this airport is now the 8th largest cargo airport in Europe. It's an airport which is fully dedicated to cargo activities, and exclusively to cargo activities. There is a low passengers activity, but it's around 300,000 passengers a year, which is nothing, which is really nothing. So all the model has been created around the cargo. And also, the airport is open here 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. The customs are present here also around the clock. The AFSCA, you know what I mean? And so that's the agency for food safety. For food safety. So the AFSCA is also present here around the clock because it's an international gateway. So you have products here coming from all over the world, and it's a gateway, international gateway. So products out of the EU are arriving here and should be cleared here for entering the EU market. You have here a lot of perishables, you have lots of flowers, fruits, for instance, vegetables, lobsters. A lot of lobsters from Canada are arriving here. You have also a lot of living stocks, living animals, which are flying to and from Liège airport. Now, one of the specialties in the last year is the racing horses. You know, for the Olympics, the horse which are doing the jumping contest at the Olympics.
They are bred here.
They are leaving Europe from here.
Oh, okay.
Because there is a specialization now in the handling of living stocks. So this airport is really a very important argument and a very important for the attractiveness of the region. And moreover, around of the airport there is a development zone of up to more than 400 hectares, which will be developed in the coming 20 years. So also for a company such as Alibaba, the possibility of expansion is extremely important.
Yeah. In fact, we want to know more about the logistic between Wallonia and China. So we want to make an interview with the Chinese company. Do you have like contact with like a manager of Alibaba or those companies?
Alibaba is a little bit too early, but what I would do, I would put you in contact with our colleague, which is manager of this incubator. Is Chinese, so you can communicate in Chinese, of course. Perfect. You have here his reference is
okay.
So you can contact him and ask him what would be the best examples to show. Yes. It can be one of these two companies.
The first two.
One of the two, maybe the first one. No. I mean one of these two, either ECL or ECC Logistics. Okay. But maybe. He will certainly ask them. So I mentioned also the company, so 4PX, which is a company from Shenzhen. So they will start activities. So maybe they can give also a testimony why they choose to come here. Yes. So there is another company which is called Sinotrans. So Sinotrans is really a huge Chinese freight forwarder.
This one I know.
There is also a company which has been created. But they have not yet started activity, which is called Apex. This is also a Chinese company. They had a branch in Amsterdam, and they will open a branch here in Liège. But I suggest that you take contact with my colleague Dongqing Zhang, and he can bring you in contact with these companies. I suppose that sometimes companies are reluctant to speak with the press. do not blame them. That's the way it is. But I prefer Dongqing to take contact with these companies to find out which company is ready to speak to you. Okay?
Yeah,
I will prefer to do it that way. And I will tell Dongqing about our discussion today.
Yeah, that we really appreciate.
We would like that our lecturer could share experience with this company. That's very important.
Yes.
I think not everything very good, nice, and looks very well, but I think
No. You should ask the company the problems with which you
Yes.
are confronted. No.
we are interested.
No. Of course.
Yes.
Because I can use that the world is pink, but that's not true. Huh? So and of course, and moreover, my job is also to speak about the asset of the region, but there are some drawbacks. And I would prefer the companies to tell you, okay,
Yes.
it's good, but I've been confronted with this kind of problem,
Yes.
with this kind of issue.
Yes.
But these companies can show you, I did it, so it's possible to do it. So of course, there are also some problems or some drawbacks.
Yes.
If you take the example of Germany, for instance, we've had many contact with Chinese companies located in Germany, and many Chinese companies, they go to Germany because they're the biggest market in the EU, and I totally understand. But when they want to work on a daily basis in Germany, the legislation in Germany is much more restrictive than here. Much more. And so they are confronted also. And sometimes the Germans tend to be a little bit rigid, if you see what I mean. So the law is the law. You cannot I would say, read the law in a different way. There is only one way to read the law, if you see what I mean.
Yeah.
So in Belgium we tend to be flexible, always respecting the legislation, but to see to what extent also we can have either some exceptions of how we can use and optimize the legislation. I think we are pretty good at it.
So you give a lot of support to the Chinese company.
That's really the meaning of this organization. It's really for the Chinese company to have a one-stop shop with a Chinese native also. Because it's very important, we wanted to have a Chinese native, to have also to create the confidence. Because Chinese is so different, that's such a different language. Now, I recognize when I hear that I don't understand a single word, of course. And of course, there is, when you speak with when you speak your mother tongue, you can make a lot of understatements. Huh? You can, and especially Chinese people are very subtle on that. And so it was very important for us to have a Chinese native to be understand, to read between the lines, and to also to understand what has been said and what has not been said.
Yeah, so it is important that Mr. Zhang is here. So.
Has there been any misunderstanding between you and Chinese company because of culture difference? Such story? I must be very happy to touch wood for this, but so far I've never had a misunderstanding with Chinese. Maybe also it's due to our Belgian culture, you know, and especially here in Liège, you are really at a crossroad. You are really at the crossroad of the Latin, the Germanic, and the Anglo-Saxon culture. Yeah. And we are such a small country that we are used also to handle with these different cultures. So I think we take the time to understand the people. We take the time to create the contact with the people. Yeah. So maybe that's one of the reasons why we've been not bad so far, and the contact is good, and we feel. My personal experience that feel that when the Chinese have a good relation with you, they show it and they are very happy to see you. So and they are very happy to build on a relationship and to consider people as friends. It's very important, and I must say I like this. I really like this. There is another aspect I didn't mention to you. I will. I'll just back in a minute because we have also collaboration with other organizations.
Okay,
thanks. Sure.
An association, a cross-border e-commerce association in Guangzhou. They have 2,000 members. So I would say these members are for us potential prospects.
Yes, of course.
So that's one of the reasons why we decided to create this relation with these associations, and we try to see them every year, a minimum once a year. Either they come here. They have not yet come here, but either to come here or either we go there to have seminars, to have one-to-one meetings in order to make companies more aware of the assets of the region.
Mm-hmm. Of course. So our article will be read by the lecturer in Germany also.
Okay.
Because I have a very good partner in Germany, based in Frankfurt.
Mm-hmm.
So his newspaper is the biggest one.
Mm-hmm.
It's province of Hessen, and a part of near the Düsseldorf also, a very very famous newspaper.
Mm.
So I have the idea to share our
Mm-hmm.
article with him also. That
Okay.
means I want to this article should be published in Germany also.
Okay.
I think a lot of Chinese company will read this. For me, in Wallonia is the best location for the logistic.
I also think so, but I'm paid to do it, to say
yes,
it.
yes. Other partner in the group is me also. Yeah. So that's what I do. How could we transfer you the article? In which?
Up to you, either by mail, either by WeChat. We can connect on WeChat. I can take my mobile phone,
Okay.
and then we can connect on WeChat. So.
Which
you
is
know,
great.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
great. No,
No?
my Chinese is not very good, so I still have some. I need some time to improve it. But it's important also that it's important to for the Chinese companies to know that here they will be welcome. They will be welcome. I said to some officials in China, we decided to be China friendly. So we don't want to. I don't want to mess up with political aspect. That's really not my business. My point is to make business and to ensure also the development of the region. And in the last years, as you know, and in the last months, especially in the last month in Wallonia, there have been some major announcements concerning Chinese partnerships. And you know about the CBTC and the China Budget and Technology Center, which is now under construction in Louvain-la-Neuve. You have understood about Thunder Power and the electric vehicle manufacturer that will come to Charleroi. So there have been a lot of development in China this last year. I do not think that we do not focus only on China. We have contact also with companies from other countries. So our development does not rely on China. But China wanting to develop on the EU. In the EU and access the EU market, this is an opportunity that we cannot miss.
Yeah, I understand. I fully agree with you. Yeah, of course. That's why I'm here today.
Of course.
Yeah, I really believe it personally. Yes. Yeah, thank you very much.
My pleasure.
Yeah.
My pleasure. So I will give you some additional documentation.